Rahman Rahim wa yukra, it is makruh, ayatanaffala, that a person makes nafal namaz. Actually, sorry, even after, I make explain wrong, even after you, once Fajr time enters, sorry, maaf, once Fajr time enters, then the only nafil namaz you can read is what? Is the sunnat, which is akad sunnat. That is the most important sunnat of the day. So you can't decide, okay, I'm waiting in the masjid here, I want to read extra namaz. Nope, right? So ويكره أن يتنفل بعد طلوع, and طلوع الفجر here refer to what? The breaking of dawn, right? So that is why we say that you read your tahajjud namaz is what this, if you're accustomed to waking up, you read 6, 8, 10, 12, whatever, and then when you see time is just about to come out, this is the best way, this is the best formula out of Ramadan. You see 5 minutes before Fajr time enters, then you read your witr namaz, and then after that, if you want to do whatever, you look, technically speaking, you don't have to wait for the azan. Time comes in with the azan, especially maybe for the ladies by the house. They don't have to go to the masjid. So what the ladies can do is, especially now in winter, and that tahajjud is so early, you read your tahajjud namaz, you read your witr namaz. Just wait 5 minutes to ensure that now Fajr time is in. You read your sunnahs of Fajr, you read your Fajr, and then you're done. Right? So for the men, obviously, they'll go to the masjid, whatever. So once that time come in, maybe they will read Quran, whatever. So ويكره يتنفل بعد طلوع الفجر, makruh that he makes nafil after the breaking of dawn بأكثر من ركعة الفجر, with anything more and over above the 2 rakats of Fajr. And what's the reasoning? Say the reasoning is this: لأنه عليه السلام, that Nabi Sallallahu لم يزيد عليهما, he did not increase upon them too. مع حرصه على الصلاة, that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was so desirous for Salat, he used every opportunity to read Salah, and yet we see he didn't read Salah. Yeah. So what does it show you? The fact that he was so desirous of Salah and he never reads Salah now shows you that it is not correct to read any sunnahs at that point in time, right? Okay, read the next one. وَلَا يَتَنَفَّلُ بَعْدَ الْغُرُوبِ قَبْلَ الْفَرْضِ, and he will not make nafil salah after the setting of sun before the farz. لِمَا فِيهِ مِنْ تَأْخِيرِ الْمَغْرِبِ, because what? There is a delay in the maghrib of it. So what is saying this, Messiah, is this, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. See, according to the Hanafi madhab, there is no sunnats between the adhan of maghrib and maghrib, right? And the reasoning is this: we done this, remember, we done this hadith before, when Jibreel Amin came to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he read the network. Oh, you know that the Prophet ﷺ, being well disposed to women, might be able. Ze zei ik kan hier, just check op in. Everything okay? So the reasoning there is simply that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, despite his great desire for each salah, to read extra salah, etc., he did not read. So just show you cannot read. See, the Anwar Salam. Oh, sorry, yeah. So we're reading, discussing the masla of reading sunnahs between the Azan and the Jamaat of Maghrib. So now, Hanafi say no, try the moment you are certain the sun is set. Don't hasten to such an extent that you must, I mean, you read it out of his time. Once you are, even like with the fasting also, ne? There's a similar thing, I'll discuss it with you. They also, Nabi Sallallahu said that my ummah will be on good as long as they hasten in breaking the fast, right? They also, we put this caveat that you won't hasten to such an extent that you put your fast in danger, or you don't hasten to such an extent that you put your maghrib in. Hasten, but with certainty that now you are certain the sun is set. Now you break your fast. Now you're certain the sun is set. Now you read your maghrib. So hasten with caution. Hasten with caution. So yeah, so what I was saying is sometimes you find yourself in the Haramain Sharifain, maybe now there you will say, oh no, in the Hanafi madhab, there's no nafil namaz, so I'm not going to read. No, the whole idea was that you're not going to read nafil namaz, so you don't delay the Jamaat. As it is, the Jamaat is going to be delayed, so you might as well read some nafil namaz. You can read two rakats. And this is not discussed in so much detail here in Hidayah Sharif, but you do it inshallah in maybe in Mishkat, or if not this Mishkat, you will do it next year in especially remember the main book where you'll do fiqh. And the ikhtilafat next year, inshallah, is in Tirmidhi Sharif. That is, it's fiqh, right? So they also, one of the reasons why the Hanafi say, one is this is the logical reason. The other logical reason is there's no marfu riwayat to say Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam read it. The most the other madhab got is the amal of the Sahaba. There's proof that the Sahaba read it, but not of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam reading it, right? So there is reason لما فيه من تأخير المغرب. ولا إذا خرج الإمام للخطبة يوم الجمعة إلى أن يفرغ من خطبته لما فيه من الاشتغال عن استماع الخطبة. Okay, so to understand this, Mr. Here, you must remember how it was in previous days. In previous days, what would happen is the room of the Imam would be, even in time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, actually, the room of the Imam would be directly attached to the masjid, right? Right? And the Imam would read his sunnahs in his room. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to read the hadith that say that it's better to read your sunnahs in the room. So the Imam will read his sunnahs in his room. And if you go now today, you go to certain places in Egypt and you go to Damascus and you'll find it similar. The Imam is in his room. So when he comes out of his room, he goes straight to the mimbar Jummah time. And the moment he sits on the mimbar, then the Muazzin calls out the Azan. So basically, in simple words, the emergence of the Imam from his room is the beginning of the proceedings. Not like us, like we go today now, you see, Jumat time, the Imam will come in, maybe he read sunnahs, maybe he'll sit a few minutes. So that's not applicable to us. So in our time, we'll say, when the Imam alights the mimbar, when the Imam alights the mimbar. So see them. So you won't read namaz. So if you never read your four sunnate mu'akkada before Jummah, right? Then you can also read it afterwards according to the Hanafi. Wala idha kharaja al-imamu, and now no more sunnats, no more nafil. In fact, when the Imam alights the mimbar, the Hanafi madhab is so strict with this here that second azan, you don't even reply verbally. There is a hadith to prove that you reply in your mind. You reply in your mind and you don't speak. And although, they also, the ulama explain, they say, according to some ulama, one of the sa'ate mustajaba, when du'as are readily accepted, it is between the two khutbahs. But they also, the Hanafi madhab say you can't speak. To such an extent, the Hanafi madhab say that even if somebody speaks to you, you mustn't even tell him keep quiet. Don't even tell him keep quiet, right? There's a hadith. The person who moves the stones at this time as though he engaged in a futile, baseless act. So you must be absolutely silent. To such an extent, if somebody speaks to you, so even the ladies, maybe they find themselves in the Haramain Sharifain and Jummah time, whatever they read Jummah day, you have to be absolutely quiet. You don't even reply to Azan. So once the Imam comes out of his room and he proceeds to the mimbar, then you can't read anything. To such an extent, ulama explain that if you were reading your sunnahs, and the Imam comes out, then you must cut it short in two. Then you make, so to say, obviously the four sunnahs before Jummah, so you make the four again after that, right? So what? So يعني لا ويكره يتنفل ولا يتنفل إذا خرج الإمام, when the Imam comes out, للخطبة, for the khutbah, right, يوم الجمعة, on the day of Jummah, إلى أن يفرغ من خطبة, until he finishes his khutbah, right, لما فيه, because why, لما فيه من الاشتغال عن الاستماع بالخطبة, because if you're going to be reading or preoccupy you, it is من الاشتغال, preoccupying yourself and استماع الخطبة, from listening to khutbah, so you have to listen to the khutbah when the Imam come out. I was telling you that I can't find anything. I'm looking again for it in the Shara. They got it. Where is it? They had it in a nice tabular form. But okay, I'll check it. I'll check it again tonight. It's not this one I was looking for. But let's just briefly go with ourselves what we remember. Just we're gonna encapsulate the whole Bab. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So you got two type of times. One is where Salah is not done at all. At the time of sunrise, the moment the sun pops on the horizon, not done. Even if you're reading the Maghrib, the Fajr of that day, Atis, you have to read it again, right? And even if you read a Nafil on that time or Qaza on that time, not done. When the sun is smack in the middle of the sky, which we term is Istiwa Shams, the proper, although in many kitabs, in many masjid, is referred to as Zawal, but technically it's not Zawal. Zawal is when it moves. That is when the time you can actually read Salah. So when the sun is smack in the middle, also there also Salat is not valid. Then once the sun has began setting, right, it's dipping beyond the horizon, the asr of that day will be valid. The asr of that day will be valid, but any other qadha namaz, etc., will not be valid, right? So that is what we say the invalid times. Then the next one, what we done is the makrooh times. The makrooh times is once you have read your fajr namaz, after that you can't read any nafil namaz, right? But so that's makrooh to read. If you read, it's valid, but you can read qadha namaz, right? And obviously, you must finish off before the sun appears on the horizon. Once the sun appears on the horizon, it's nothing. Nothing is valid. Then similarly, your asr for the day, once you've read your asr, you cannot make, it's makrooh to make any nafil namaz after. However, you can make qadha namaz, provided you finish before, we say, the makrooh time, which is about 25 minutes, 20 minutes, when the sun becomes weak. Once the sun becomes weak, then it is not correct now to obviously nafil is out as we discussed, and obviously even qadha namaz, and we explained that in detail. The reason why you can't read qadha namaz because that's a makrooh time, and you cannot, the qadha namaz became qadha on you on a complete and a kamil manner, so you cannot discharge it in a makruh way. Yeah, so that is basically the whole discussion. The next discussion we're going to start now is Babul Adhani, the chapter of Adhan. So obviously the chronological order is quite obvious. That first, you have to know what is the time of Salah before you can start the Salah. So the first step obviously is now for the actual, we know the other steps we've done is like the tahara, being free from hadath, type of how to remove hadath akbar, how to remove hadath asghar. We discussed all that in detail, and alhamdulillah, they're actually busy right now. Somebody's downloading all the lessons from the beginning of the kitab. If anybody missed any of the lessons of Hidayah Sharif, they can get it. There's somebody busy right now, busy downloading from till where we are now. It is on our YouTube channel. Anyway, so obviously the first step of now, after the preparation, the physical thing is azan. So it's quite logical why this chapter has been brought, because he's just following the chronological order, right? So azan has as every word, it has a literal meaning and a istilahi meaning. Just when we say literal meaning, just a translation. So the literal meaning just means to announce. Allah Ta'ala also using Quran, فَأَذَّنَ مُؤَذِّنٌ, just to announce something, right? But in Sharia, in fiqh, when we speak about adhan, what we speak about, al-i'lamu بوقت الصلاة بألفاظ مخصوصة على صفة مخصوصة. Adhan is al-i'lam, to inform, right, the public بوقت الصلاة, about the time of salah, بألفاظ مخصوصة, with specific words. So if you just say come salah, come for salah, now come for salah, that does not fit the full profile of, like say brothers, salah time, brothers, salah time. That will not be azan. Why? although you're informing the salah, but you're not using the designated words from Sharia, right? بألفاظ مخصوصة. And then على صفة مخصوصة. There's a specific way you must do it. Takbir 4 times, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha. So even if you mix up the order, for example, somebody says, Hayya ala salah, Hayya al falah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. He says like that, then so we say this is not azan. So there's 3 conditions. I'lamu bi waqti salat, informing people of salat, bi alfazin makhsusatin, specific words, right? Ala sifatin makhsusatin, and specific way that you must say it. No, why are we discussing the salah? I mean the adhan. Um, Adhan is also a very, very, people ask you, they say that we're moving into a new house, what should we do? They ask you that we're hearing strange sounds in the house at nighttime, etc., etc. Most of the time, 99.999% of the time, is a strange sound is because of the wind or because of a creaky door, right? People are alluding to the fact they see her. But anyway, if it is a general problem, very, very effective to get a male to give azan. So when people come to you with the stories, remember this: get a male to give azan in all the corners of the house, inshallah. Most of the time, it will help. You don't need an amin. Most of the time, 99.9%, when you do this, inshallah, children can't sleep at night. I promise you, sometimes the children is restless. My wife said, just give azan. I give half in the sleep, give azan and sleep. You see, the moment after that, you see the child falls asleep, sleep comfortable. So just remember this here, very, very effective in combating the whispers of shaitan, in shaitan interference, all that type of thing. I promise you, you give azan, immediately you see a difference, right? So anyway, um, besides now, this is where you call for salah, but there's another effective use that is to remove waswasa, to remove the effects of shaitan, to remove the whispering of shaitan, etc., etc. Right? So, muhaddithin, those people who busy themselves with hadith, and mu'arrikhin, arrakha yu'arikhu, those historians, they are all muttafiq, they're all unanimous on this, no ikhtilaf, that adhan was established after Hijrah in Medina. So there was no adhan, so to say, in Makkatul Mukarramah. But exactly what year of Hijri, Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, that is the famous Sharih of Bukhari Sharif, that green book, he says that this happened in the 2nd year of Hijri. That's the best Sharah of Bukhari Sharif. Ne? Allama Aini, who was his brother-in-law, he also wrote a Sharah of Bukhari, but he was a Hanafi. And he answered many of the Shafi's objections. Right, he says Azan was instituted in the 1st year of Hijri, the 1st year when Sahaba Ikram came to Medina. So remember, in Makkah, the Muslims were always under pressure. Ne? They were under pressure, so they couldn't practice their deen freely, etc. That is why also you get the Zohar namaz, which is silent. You get the Asr namaz is silent, because at that time of the day, the mushrikeen would be active and they would trouble Sahaba Ikram. That's why they were instructed to read softly. So anyway, once the Muslims got their base and they were settled in Medina, everybody could come freely to read Salat, etc., etc. Now the question was, the Muslim population was growing. How do we inform the people that we are ready to read Salat? How do we gather them all? So once Nabi Sallallahu gathered with Sahaba Ikram and they were exchanging thoughts. Some Sahaba Ikram said, let's put up a flag, but that was not accepted because you have to be looking at the masjid all the time to see the flag. People will miss it. Some Sahaba Ikram said, let's burn a big fire and everybody can see the fire and they can come. But Nabi Sallallahu was not happy with this because he said, this is the way of the Majusis, the fire worshippers, right? Some said, let's blow in a horn, like make a loud sound. People can get up. But then this was shut down also because they said this is the way of the Jews. Some said let's blow a bugle, right? But this was the way of the Nasaras at that time. So yeah, the meeting was adjourned without any firm decision. Yeah, we just mentioned it briefly. You'll do this in a lot of detail in the hadith. Then there was a Sahabi by the name of Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Rabbihi, his name, right? He was also present in this meeting. And when he went home, he was still consumed by this thought that what are we going to do? How are we going to solve this problem? So he's mentioned that even when his wife presented the lunch to him, he wasn't interested. He said, hey, we've got a problem here. We need to decide how are we going to. So he said, I'm consumed by this thought. When you're consumed by thought, sometimes you lose your appetite. I got no, how we say, I got no lust for food. And he says that in this interim, he fell asleep and he saw somebody coming from the skies, probably an angel. And this person was adorned in two green cloths. And he had like a bugle in his hands. And when I saw him, I said, oh, servant of Allah, don't you want to sell this thing here? So this person said, but what would you like to do with this? He said, I want to present it to our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam because we're looking for a means to call the people to Salah. So we need to inform them. So this person said, let me show you something better than this, than a bugle. Can't I show you something? He said, yes, please do. So this angel went to a corner, he faced the Qibla, and he called out the Adhan as we know it today. So the Sahabi was so excited, so excited. The Sahabi's name was Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Abdi Rabbihi. So Abdullah, and he was the son of Zayd, and he was the son of Abdi Rabbihi. Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Abdi Rabbihi. So he was so excited. The next morning, he rushed to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he informed him of the dream. And when Nabi sallallahu heard this, he said, "Innahu la ru'ya haqqun." That definitely this is a also no la ru'ya haqqan khabar. This is a definitely a true dream. فَأَلْقِهَا إِلَى بِلَالٍ. That inform us Bilal about this dream. فَإِنَّهُ أَنْدَى وَأَمَدُّ صَوْتًا. Verily he is louder in voice than you. وَمُرْهُ يُنَادِي بِهِ. And instruct him that he should call out the adhan. The Nabi Sallallahu said, this is a true dream. This is not a dream from shaitan. Inform or teach this. Teach this to Hazrat Bilal. Let him remember it. Because he's got a louder voice than you. So when Hazrat Bilal heard this, he hastened to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he said, yeah, he took a qasam, ya Rasulullah, I take a qasam by the one whom my life is in his hands. I also saw a similar dream. But Abdullah ibn Zayd, he beat me. And I think some riwayat, as I said, this is just briefly, but you'll do this in detail, inshallah, in the hadith books. If you never do it in Mishkat already, you'll do it next year also. Some riwayat suggests that Umar also radiallahu came dragging his chadar, his cloth, and saying, yeah, I seen the same dream. So Allah Ta'ala informed them through several means. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was extremely pleased with this. And like this, Alhamdulillah, the Azan was instituted. Just read one ibadah there for the barakah, inshallah. Then. What you got after that? Yeah, after with Jum'ati? Duna ma siwahu. I got la siwahuma, but same thing, right? So, Azan is sunnat. You got Duna also. La, la. That Azan is sunnat. Remember I told you before, in the Hanafi books, whenever you see sunnat, it means sunnate mu'akkada, right? Right. So this Adhan is sunnat for the 5 salawat, wal Juma and Juma, la siwahuma, not besides it. So what it means, there's no Adhan for Tahajjud namaz. Although if you go to Haramain Sharifain, you see there they give Adhan for Tahajjud namaz, etc. And I think the Hafiz, didn't they give Adhan at the Qabr or something? No, you know anything about it? I think they give, but anyway, there is no. When the people go for Hajj, they give azan or something. No, yeah, I think so. In Cape Town, the people leave for Hajj, they give azan. So, but anyway, according to Hanafi madhab, azan is only for the 5 salat after the Jummah, la siwahuma, not besides him. Linaqlil mutawatir. What is the proof? Naqli mutawatir means, I told you, mutawatir means so many people narrate it that it is inconceivable to believe they could have conspired to lie. So many people narrate it. So, in other words, from the time of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam till now, in every epoch and area, it's been narrated that from the Haramain Sharifain, from Masjid al-Nabawi, so many people has been narrating that this Hazan has been called out, right? Then, wasifatul adhan ma'rufatun, and the exact description, the order of the adhan, it is known to us all. 4 times takbir, then ashhadu an shahadatain, then ayal salah, then takbir again, and la ilaha illallah, right? وهو كما أذن الملك النازل من السماء. It is how the angel Moses sifat al-malak, right? Malak and Nazil came down. Like how the angel that descended from the skies, they announce it, like the Minas Sama that came from the sky. So exactly like how the angel gave the adhan, that is how we will give it today. The time is up. We'll stop there. We'll continue tomorrow, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi subhan.